What's up, guys? Welcome to today's Coffee Talk, our jam session. Today is our Friday jam session, as it says up there on the screen, Friday Jams. Ask your question. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments here today. I'm going to wait to get this or to make sure that this feed is actually live, and then we are going to kick it off today. And we are going to be talking about something that was brought up on our last Coffee Talk. And it was about internal links inside of content. How important is it? What does it look like? How does it work? Is it necessary? Those types of questions. And the answer is it is important, but maybe not for the reason you think. All right, and we're gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna kind of go through what it looks like, when you should be doing it, and also the benefits that come from doing it, and also some other cool things that can happen once your site starts to get a little bit more authority, and how we can really use those internal links to our advantage. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So before we do get rocking and rolling here, I do want to make sure that you guys can hear and see me okay, because again, you never know with this Facebook thingy that's out there right now. I don't know if you guys heard about it. You guys are on it, but Facebook, it's pretty big. A lot of people are on it. You're on it right now if you're watching this, but they can be a little cranky at times, meaning they don't always let people know that you're broadcasting, and they don't push your organic stuff anymore. But we won't get into that today, because today is our jam session. But yeah, if you guys can do me a quick favor, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, see me, all of that stuff. And then we can get officially kicking this thing off, and we will get rocking and rolling. It looks like Scooby Life is here. What's up? Happy Friday. So it looks like it is broadcasting on YouTube, which is a miracle. So that's cool. And I do see other people coming on, but I don't see any comments coming in yet. So I want to make sure, again, that we get that. Okay, Justin, hear you fine, Scott. Awesome. So thank you for that. Good morning to you as well. All right, cool. So let's get rocking and rolling. And also, if you are just tuning in, let me know whether it's in, it's in the comments, but whether you are someone that's tuning in for the first time, watching it on a replay, whatever, let me know. Are you actively building a niche property right now? Just want to know, because you might be sitting on the sidelines and you might be wanting to, but not actually doing it yet. And I bring that up because we probably should do a whole episode on that, because I got a bunch of responses yesterday after we did our Niche Properties Insider little promotion. And I had some people that replied to a question that I always ask. And it was about, like, what's the reason for building a niche property? Like, what's your reason? And, some people had said, I've been wanting to do this since I've been, following you for the past, 6 months, year, and I've just been on the sidelines, and I'm finally ready to kind of dive in. And so sometimes people are watching this, but they're not actually doing it. So I'd be curious. Are you actively building your niche property as we speak right now? And if you are, well, this topic today will probably help you. It'll probably benefit you. So cool. Justin says, building two niches, both actively involving my existing business. Yeah, I love that too. And that's probably a whole nother episode we should do, is because I do get a lot of questions, especially when I do private coaching calls. We'll have people that are e-commerce. They're selling physical products, and they want to build one of these to bring traffic, but also another revenue stream. So I think that's a smart idea, Justin. So cool. All right, let's do this. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes. I don't have many notes today, but I do have a couple of notes. So let me just make sure that I have that all good. Yeah, good. All right, cool. So let's get rocking and rolling here, and see what happens. Here we go. Friday jam session about to happen. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Friday jam session, one of my favorite days of the week, because, well, I get to hang out with you, whether you are watching this on the Coffee Talk on our jam session, or if you are listening to this on the podcast. And if you are, thank you. And who knows, maybe you're on a run right now listening to the podcast, which is awesome. Get that exercise. But yeah, today, It's exciting because, well, I just like hanging out with you guys. And whether it's, like I said, you're listening on the podcast and you're on an airplane or, traveling to wherever, I just enjoy spending time with people that are interested in building online businesses. And the main thing that we talk about nowadays is these niche properties, these digital real estate pieces, as I call them, which I really still get excited about the opportunities that are out there for us because it's so much like traditional real estate. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. What we're going to be talking about today is a question that came up on one of our past coffee talks. And the question came up about internal links. Are they important? And so that's what we're going to talk about because they are important, but for not the reason that a lot of people think they're important. And I will explain. But if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm not really building my site yet, still hang tight here because I think you should understand the workings of building a niche property. And if you are listening, then that must mean that you are probably interested or you are building one right now. So that's cool. So let's just jump into it. All right. A lot of people think that if you're creating a link, and let me just actually time out here for a minute. Little timeout. Scott's going to call a timeout. Timeout. We are going to first off talk about what is an internal link. So just imagine you have a piece of content that is written on let's see 5 best bass fishing lures. All right, you have a piece of content that you wrote on that, and then you have another piece of content that talks about the best type of lure to use in a pond, right? And so you could very easily link to each one of those within inside of each one of those. So the one that you're talking about, the 5 best bass fishing lures, you're probably going to talk about, there's one in there that is, specifically, I can't say specifically this morning, specifically good for, catching, bass in a pond or at night or whatever, right? And you're going to link over. You're going to basically just highlight that and make that a link that points to that other post on your website. So there's internal links and there's external links. An external link would go to a resource outside of your website, or as we call it, our niche property. So it's linking your content together. And some people call these content clusters at time. And we have done these and they do work very well. So if you were to create like one piece of content that was a little bit of everything, like maybe it's, bass fishing 101, something like that, but you have a lot of different topics in there and those are individual articles. Well, those individual articles, you would link from that main post and you would point to the resource on your website that talks a little bit more in depth about that topic. That's basically what an internal link does. That's how it works, right? Now, some people would say the anchor text. Now, anchor text is the actual words that you use as the link. So if it is, if you're talking about best bass fishing lure for nighttime fishing, and you said that exact sentence or that exact phrase, you would highlight that and then point it to the article that you would want to send them to. That's your anchor text. Or it could just be, go here to read the full article. That could be anchor text. But some people say, well, if your anchor text is a keyword, Google's going to like it better. And a lot of times people think that internal linking is more for being found in Google. It'll boost your rankings, which it can. And I'll talk about that here before we finish. But that's not the main reason in the beginning. If you're doing this in the very, very beginning, like you have 10 articles on your site and they're closely connected, then yes, you're going to immediately want to start linking. So just think about it. If you're writing an article and you already started writing in this theme or in this keyword vein, as I call it, you're going to have a lot of articles that are similar, that are talking about other aspects of the original one or that one topic. And so what you want to be thinking in the back of your mind is, as you're writing this thing, you're like, you know what? I just talked about catching bass in a pond, I know I wrote an article on catching bass in a pond, so I'm going to link over to that article, right? And then what you want to do is go to that other article and go, does it make sense to link back to that article? And then you want to ask yourself that. Now, there are tools out there that help with this. Spencer Hawes has created one, and it's called Link Whisper. It's a great tool. If you're brand new, I don't necessarily think that you need it in the beginning to add another expense, but it does make that task a lot easier to do. It also will give you, like they call it, orphaned posts, meaning that the post doesn't have any internal links. So that will allow you to see this without having to dig through if you have 100 different posts or more. So that does make it a lot easier. But in the very beginning, we just want to be thinking about internal linking because we want to give the reader the best resource, right? And so for you to link them, to allow them to be able to go from one post to another is actually helping the reader. So that's where you always want to start from. You don't want to be thinking to yourself, I'm doing this just to trick Google, right? Because you're not going to trick Google. That's not what it's about, right? Now, the other thing that this does by allowing that person to read and then potentially click over to another article is it keeps them on your site longer. Let me say that again. It keeps the visitor on your website longer. Why is that important? Well, that is an indicator to Google that basically says people are staying on the site longer. So that must mean that this is a good resource on this topic. So then that can help you in your rankings. All right. So this has nothing to do with backlinking or using internal links, and that's going to transfer link juice and all of that stuff, which I'll explain that here in a second, because there are parts of this that you will use internal links for that purpose. Let me get to that. So that's to me, like the thing that you want to think about is, are you allowing the visitor to get more information about what they showed up for? And the internal links will allow you to do that because the internal link is just guiding them to another piece of content, right? That helps them, right? And in that piece of content, guess what? There's probably internal links that are going to other resources that talk a little bit deeper about that part of that article, right? And so that allows you to keep them on your site longer. So if you have someone come into your site and they're only there for 10 seconds, it shows, they call that bounce rate in a sense, where people are coming and they're going is, or if a site takes too long to load, that could be a reason why they're leaving. So that's another reason why we want a fast theme and things. But for the most part, we are wanting to show Google that people are enjoying our content and they're staying, right? They're sticking around, right? And so I think typically we're looking at on our pieces of content, an average of 2.5 to 5 minutes on our content, which is amazing. That's awesome. And in the SEO world, that is like a really good number. So that must mean that we're creating good content, we're interlinking it, we're keeping them on our site. And one little ninja tip here that we do is we also embed a YouTube video. And we do this because we want to, again, create a resource for them that they can consume and they can get more. Maybe they're a visual learner. Maybe they are wanting to see it demonstrated. And so what we'll do is we'll find a popular YouTube video and then we will use their embed on YouTube. So they're allowing this because who wouldn't want their video, if you just created it on YouTube, to be embedded on someone else's blog that's getting traffic? Like, we all would want that. So we're just embedding it on the site. And then what happens is they click on it to watch it. And if it's a 4-minute video, a 10-minute video, they might watch part of it. Well, guess what? They're sitting on your site watching it. So that helps with watch time, or at least with on page, staying on page. How long do they stick around? That's a little ninja tip there for you. Has nothing to do with internal linking, although it does help with keeping people on your site longer. Okay, so let's move into the link juice side of things here. Okay, now, as you're doing this, let's say that you're doing this for 6 months and you're interlinking pieces of content together to, again, allow your visitor to get more information about those different topics, right? You're just leading them through, their journey, okay, on your site. Now, as you're doing this, you have created connections inside of your site. So just imagine like you're almost like threading different pieces of content together, right? You're now making it together, right? You're making it come together, right? Where you're bringing in all of these links that's kind of tying everything together. Well, now as you start to get backlinks on your site, okay? Now, I'm not saying you're going out and you're getting backlinks because that's not necessarily what we do. We have one case study that we did do a backlinking campaign about 6 months ago. Verdict is still out how it's going to perform. It was a white hat way of doing it, and I actually have an interview coming up with Adam from Niche Website Builders, who is the one that did that for us. We use their service, but all of our other sites, we've not done anything. Okay. And we're getting backlinks, good backlinks, because we have good content. So whenever you're creating good content, you will naturally attract backlinks. Okay. Now, when you get a backlink, that is a signal coming from a site that has a domain authority of, let's call it a 30, right? Or a 20 or a 50 or an 80, right? So all of those are a little bit stronger. And so as we get those backlinks, that brings our domain authority up within the eyes of Google. What that also does is that takes all of our pages that are connected with the internal links, and it kind of takes that link juice and spreads it out a little bit. Okay. So that's the power of interlinking your pieces of content together that should go together. I'm not saying just interlink anything because that doesn't work. Okay. That'll lead to confusion, and that will also lead to a visitor being kind of frustrated and also seeing all of these links. They don't want to think the page is just full of links. So as you're getting these backlinks naturally, that's why in the beginning, it's a matter of just setting up the foundation and start connecting things together. And also think about the viewer or the reader. Are they getting a good experience? That's all you're thinking about. Because then as you get the backlinks, the domain authority of your site starts to rise. Well, all of your pages start to rise too, because you've interlinked those together. All right. Now, here's something, and I'm actually teaching this inside of our content booster. We have a content booster training that was an add-on to our keyword gold mine. All right. But I'll give you the gist of it here. So let's say that we have, this is more advanced, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. If you have some pages on your site that are getting backlinks, okay, they're getting backlinks. You might have one that has 20 backlinks going to it because it's a really good resource. Well, that page has got more of the link juice going to it, right? It's got more signals pointing to that page from domain authority heavy sites, right? Like they're very good sites. So now what we can do, because we know that we can transfer some of that to some other pieces of content, is what we can do is we can do just that. We can transfer some of that by linking from that page that has 20 backlinks going to it, and we can link to other pieces of content, again, that makes sense, okay? Not just randomly doing it, okay? You're not just going to do that and go, oh, well, I can just add a backlink or an internal link here from a page that has a lot of backlinks coming to it, and I'm immediately going to boost everything. That's not how it works, right? It has to be relevant and it has to make sense, okay? And so that is also what you can do with internal links, is you can start to look at your site, and this usually is going to happen after a 6-month period, where you're going to be able to do an analysis of your site and say, wow, that one post has like 20 links to it, and there's some of those are some high domain authority sites. That page has got a higher domain authority. So let's see. Let me read that article. Are there any articles that I'm not linking to on my site that I should be? Maybe I should, right? So that's the step. That's the first step. The second step would be, are there any pages on your site that are not on page 1, but maybe on page 2 that need a little bit of a boost? Let's take a look at that. Does it make sense for us to add a link to one of our more powerful pages and point some of that link juice to a page that we just want to nudge up in the rankings? So that's something else that we can do. All right. So that's internal linking in a nutshell. Okay. That's what it looks like. The very first part, we're just connecting everything together. That's all we're doing. We're kind of like taking the string, and we're just kind of looping everything together to make it all one. Okay. And then as you grow your site, as you start getting backlinks, those pages will naturally start to lift as well because you're taking your domain authority and making it higher, which also brings everything else up. And then we can also look at our top pages that are getting a lot of recognition and a lot of backlinks, and we can see, does it make sense for us to use those as leverage to push up some of our other pages that might not be on page one yet, but close. They're on like page two. Because here's the deal too. If we have something that's on page two, we might not want to mess with it yet, right? We might want to let that thing wait. And if it's not more than 6 months, we definitely want to wait. But we don't want to mess with it, because if we mess with it, the content side of things, we might drop out of the rankings and never come back. Or we could actually fix a little bit of the content and then go up. It is a risk. So you want to look at how much search are you already getting from that. Is if it's only 50 visitors a month, maybe it doesn't matter, right? Maybe take a chance. But if it's already getting 1,000 visitors per month, you want to be delicate with it, right? And to point a backlink to it or an internal link to it is not going to hurt anything on the front of it, right? It's just another signal coming to that page. It's a link being pointed to that page. All right. So guys, that is internal linking. And is it important? I would say yes, it is important for all of those reasons that I just described. All right. So not hard, but you do have to understand it, right? This whole business model isn't hard. It comes down to finding a good niche and validating it, publishing good content, finding those keywords, those low competition keywords, publishing good content on a regular basis, linking things together to make it a great resource, and then just rinse and repeat. Okay. Publish, rinse, and repeat. That's it. That's all that we're doing. All right. So guys, hopefully this has helped you. If you have any questions on this, you can always drop them in the comments. I am going to answer them here on the Coffee Talk, but I am going to cut this for the podcast. So if you do want to hang out with us, ask any questions, you can head on over to takeactioncrew.com. You can submit a question there, or you can just show up to one of these and I will most likely see it and then I can answer it, and or maybe even make it an upcoming jam session. If you're interested in building one of these, if you haven't started yet, if you're still on the sidelines and you want to jump into the game, then I would definitely recommend checking out our niche properties class. And you can do so by heading to buildnicheproperties.com. Again, that's buildnicheproperties.com. And you can get all the details over there. That's our full class, step-by-step blueprint. You have everything that you'll need, walking you all the way from start to getting everything set up, to building it, to creating content, to publishing, and then rinsing and repeating. All right. So guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now let's get them. Cut. All right. So here we go. What do we got here for some questions? Let's see. Yeah, Karen. Yes. And the reason why I did this one was for you, because you had brought this up the last time. So I thought it was a good question. And I think it turned out pretty good. I've gone back into my blogs and decided to write further. So like I have a blog about 4 learning styles. So I'm thinking about writing a blog about each learning style individually. Is that a good idea? Yeah. If it makes sense to go deeper and to maybe just break them out, then 100% sure. Why not? Right? Because what you might be doing is you might be trying to take everything, put it into one blog post, which could be a very long one, and it's doing 4 different teaching styles. But if you do each one on its own, you can get more dialed in and then break it down. So if you have one learning style, you're probably going to have 5 to 8 questions that are frequently asked about that topic, right? And that's how I would break that out. And then, yes, you would interlink them to each other, and that would be like a content cluster, like we talk about. Yeah, you would link them all together. Scooby Life, such a great overview breakdown. I'm going to look for the content booster in BCA. Yeah, okay, so you should have already received that, but if not, it is inside of BCA now. It's in the portal. So if you go in the portal, if you're on desktop, you look on the left-hand side, you scroll down a little bit, you'll see it right there. And I did post it inside of the private group as well. Justin says, like the get 'em finish. Now let's get them, because we're going to get them. I mean, that's what we're doing. Like, I look at this as like, we're a team. We're a game. This is a game. And we're going to go out there and we're going to get them. So let's go. If it was like, all right, put them in team, right? 1, 2, 3, get them. right? Let's see. Which is better to start, internal or external links? Both. That's what it is. Like if you only have one blog post, you can't do internal links, right? So create an external link. But how are you going to get the external link? Are we talking about adding an external link or getting an external link? If we're talking about outlinking to other sites, that's important too, because Google likes to see that you're also not just about your stuff, but you're giving external resources and pointing to other places. So if you're using like Yoast or Rank Math, it's going to give you that on their checklist that it wants internal links and outbound links, external links. But yeah, I would say both. But I would say one external link is good. And also, just to let you know, when you do embed a video there, that does show a link coming from YouTube. Now it's a no follow, so it's not going to be a do follow, but I do think it's useful. So that's I do like them. Yeah, I was thinking I could provide more info and give strategies. Yeah, I think that's great, Karen. And you know, Karen, I know in your market, you should be doing very basic posts too, right? Like questions like, can you, and then fill in the blanks about that type of that type of teaching. You know, I mean, I'm sure people want to know homeschooling stuff. You know, can you use this style of teaching for homeschooling? You know, something like that. Like you can probably do a lot of question based versus you being like a how to. How to's are going to slow you down a little bit because they take more time. A question is going to take less time and we can do more of them. Right. So that's what we want to do. So, all right, guys, that is going to wrap up our Friday jam session. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. Also, in the comments, you got any fun things planned for this weekend? Let me know. Drop them in the comments. I'm going to be hanging out here with the family this weekend. We have somewhat of an off weekend. We are going to be spending time with our granddaughter and my daughter and my son-in-law and my other daughter and my son. And we might be doing a local my son and my daughter might be doing a co-ed beach volleyball tournament on Saturday tomorrow. So yeah, we're kind of got an off weekend, but then next weekend we're right back into the old beach volleyball tournament. So yeah, hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And we will see you on Monday for our Monday mindset. Like I said earlier, let's go get them. All right. Take care, guys.